Hi everyone, this is your host Jasleen Khanuja at a wonderful town hall of Congressman Ro Khanna, who represents District 17th right here in the state of California. He is having his fourth term and he is addressing the constituents today on the topic of education and schooling, and nonetheless it went out very well as he emphasized on his high school teachers being more important to him, even though they were less brilliant than his professors at the Yale University.
Restoring some kind of decency, restoring some ability to talk to each other in our democracy is going to come down to our educators, to educate that new generation to be equipped to do that. And to be equipped to do that when you're being bombarded with misinformation, bombarded with conspiracy theories on cable news and on social media. So it's a hard challenge for the teachers, and it's a hard challenge for their support teams, and it's a hard challenge for our school board members. And I just want to appreciate what all of you are doing for our community and our country.
What is the latest and the greatest on the education and schooling front that the Congress is bringing in this district?
I appreciate it. We're bringing resources for K through 12 education so we can hire more counselors, hire more teachers, have more mental health and well-being education, also so we can fund critical STEM education. It's important to fund our schools.
This has been a wonderful, wonderful showcase of the problems that our educators are facing here in the Bay Area, especially one of the women who brought up an issue about transgender math teacher who is feeling insecure in case the government changes. Not just this, there were several issues brought up which were in favor of students, like how hard the scores should be weighed on, because after all they are just a set of data, based on a set of numbers. How far can a student be assessed? And that was brought up by a parent who is also a teacher.
Our military budget overall, $1 trillion is what we're almost spending, over 50% of our federal budget on that. I am a consistent no vote on that, and I appreciate your continuing to send me back to Congress and allowing me to vote no, because I'd much rather that we be spending some portion of that budget on our health care, on our education, on climate, and on communities, rather than these forays into Iraq, Afghanistan, and overseas wars. We've got the most militarized defense budget in decades, and that is, in my view, not the direction that's going to make America strong.
And from today's town hall, what's the takeaway that we all can get?
The takeaway is we've got to support our public school teachers. We've got to support our public school educators. We've got to support our public schools. It's so critical in our community.
Thank you, Congressman. Similarly, there were a lot of budget and other educational concerns that were brought up and very well handled by our Congressman Ro Khanna. Let's take a sneak peek.
Look, the windfall exemption provision, it needs to be repealed. The reality is that we don't do this for any other profession, where if you're in the private sector, then you want to go teach, then somehow with the windfall exemption provision, you don't get this full Social Security that you earn. Let's say you go work in the restaurant business, you do that for 10 years, then you go teach, you're accumulating Social Security, then the government basically takes away the Social Security that you have accumulated or your spouse has accumulated if you go teach. It's almost a disincentive to go teach. And it's not just for teachers, it's also for firefighters, for police, for other public service employees. There's a bill that John Morrison has, which would get rid of the windfall exemption provision, which would expand Social Security. And I have been pushing that when we were in the Congress last time, to get this for a vote. And there are a few Democrats who are not for it because they don't want to be for the expansion of some of the Social Security benefits. I said to someone, we all know that President Biden is a bit older, so why doesn't he use that as an advantage to be the champion of Social Security? It's the one place that he'd be good politically for him, he'd be trusted. So I'm pushing that we get this thing to a vote, and that the President in his State of the Union on March 7th stands up for expanding Social Security, eliminating the windfall exemption provision, and really run as a champion of Social Security, which I think he'd be very, very authentic on, and which we could deliver on if he wins. I'm very, very pleased to recognize Mr. Henry Robinson. Mr. Robinson, if you want to come up, Mr. Robinson has a remarkable story. He was in Selma in 1965 with John Lewis. And on the bridge, where Edmund Pettus Bridge, where Mr. Lewis was beaten, Mr. Robinson was part of that. And one of the great honors, it was just John Lewis's 84th birthday and recently, and one of the great honors in my life was to write a joint op-ed with him about the ties between the Gandhi movement and the movement for civil rights. But Mr. Robinson participated in that, then he moves to the Bay Area, he goes to Santa Clara, Stanford, is a teacher for social studies, civic education in Milpitas, and then has also served in the Milpitas Police Department. And we are just very, very lucky for 53 years of public service to recognize Henry Robinson. So congratulations. Cindy Chow, Shruti Ladewala, who are our two runner-ups with great apps, and our winner, Talis Leong, which is an app that uses AI to bring out the artist in all of us. Great job, kids. I don't know if any of them are here. Wonderful. Congratulations. And we should be using all the tools that teachers have to be able to do that, and recognize that math and science are critical to the development in a modern economy of just having the tools to be able to thrive, no matter what job someone is going to be doing. Proficiency, of course, in math and reading and writing is important. That can't just be measured by test scores, and we've moved to an over-reliance on standardized testing, and it's one put a lot of pressure on young kids who, when they are talking to me, often talk about mental health and well-being is one of their top concerns, and we need to be very mindful of not having our young kids feel the kinds of pressure and stress that they often feel in our district. And we also have to realize, as all of you know as educators, that creativity and persistence and resilience and creativity are often more indications of being a contributing member of a society, of a family, of a community, than simply the mastery of hard skills. That's not to say that you shouldn't know arithmetic and multiplication and algebra and even calculus, and that we shouldn't have some form of testing, but we can have an over-reliance on that. The public education, I'm a product of public schools. I went to public school in Pennsylvania, outside Philadelphia. And to me, public school education, which is 90% of where kids go, I mean, that's just the reality of the statistics, is key to democracy. And the reason it's key to democracy is that there has to be a certain place where we get a common vocabulary, where we learn a common history, where we learn common respect. And if everyone were to self-select into their own school to be with their own people like them and their own types of curriculum, we lose that ability to have a common vocabulary in this country across race, across gender, across sexual orientation. We also, in this area, in my view, need teacher housing, and we need to figure out how do we get affordable workforce housing. When people think of affordable housing, often they think about just the people who are unhoused. But we have a situation here. I said to some of my friends at Google and Apple, who's going to teach your kids? Who's going to clean their teeth? Who's going to do their services? I mean, you have to have a workforce that doesn't have to come from an hour and a half away. And when you look at surveys in the school district, the Fremont Union School District or Cupertino School District, teacher satisfaction often is very, very high, and yet they're often say, do you see yourself here in 5 years? And they say no. And the reason is because of this cost of living. People can't afford to raise a family here on a teacher's salary. That is very sad. And so we need a comprehensive approach to increasing teacher pay, not just for students, but we need teacher housing. We need to make sure that teachers can afford to live in a community like ours and really treat them with the respect that they deserve as helping educate the future generations in our nation. I have come out for a permanent ceasefire and a release of all the hostages. My view is that, of course, the October 7th attack was a heinous terrorist attack, and the people who were responsible should be held accountable, but that we cannot have the kind of bombing of women and children and destruction of innocent life in Gaza that has taken place, and is now 1/4 facing famine and starvation. And so I have been for a permanent ceasefire and release of hostages. I have been for the renewal of aid to Gaza, for the economic development of Gaza, for a two-state solution in the region, and I voted no on the recent $17 billion blank check to Netanyahu for those reasons.
Here.